Hey YouTube, this is Cameron. We're going to do a quick tutorial on how to make foam throwing melee weapons for Nerf if your group allows them. You're going to need a couple things to start out with this. Cardboard, foam pad for camping, 1/2 inch CPVC. This is not PVC. Scissors, box cutter, hot glue. I would recommend a high temperature hot glue gun, Sharpie, and duct tape brand duct tape. Do not use off-brand duct tape. It doesn't work as well. It really only likes to stick to itself. Kind of smells bad and just doesn't last as long. Alright, now to start out with, we're going to make a template. Get up on Google and kind of just search different knives or different weapons that you might be interested in making a pattern of. I've used something like this before that was kind of inspired by the machetes from Halo. Right now we're just going to make an original one and we're going to use our imagination. 15 inches long I found is the perfect amount. Your CPVC you can use as a reference. So I'm just going to put this on either side of the cardboard to get my reference lines down, and I'm going to go a little bit above and a little bit below just so I can get a rough idea of how big my throwing weapon needs to be. Additionally, I'm going to give an extra solid 3/4 to a whole inch of space on either side to get a really good padding the entire way around, because you don't want to hit someone with CPVC, you just want to be hitting them with the foam. So you definitely don't have to use a template, but the reason why I do is because if I want to make more in the future, I can make them exactly 100% identical. I'm just making this up as I go. You can really get creative with these and do anything you want to out of a video game, some kind of fantasy knives, anything like that. I'm just going to cut this out. So I'm just using a box cutter. I'm not being the safest person in the world. You really shouldn't cut towards yourself with a box cutter. Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. Or if you're a chemistry person, don't be part of the solution, be part of the precipitate. This is about what our knife's going to look like. So you can see how our CPVC core fits into that. We have a good amount of foam. We're going to have a good amount of foam on either edge all the way around. You're going to want to cut out 3 different templates using your stencil that you've made. The reason why we're using 3 is we're making a sandwich. We're using one solid one and one with a little hole cut out through the center to accommodate the core. What I really like to use is a bandsaw. You can clean up these edges a whole lot and make these really smooth. But considering most people don't have $400 tools, we're just going to be doing this with really basic tools like box cutters. If you're not getting good cuts with your box cutter, try replacing the blade. Now, I have experimented with a bunch of different cores and a bunch of different lengths, but honestly, for the best balance, it's about 15 to 16 inches in length, and a 1-foot core are pretty much for the best results. Trick is I'm going to try to get it right in the middle so I have an equal amount of foam on the top and bottom and side to side. We're going to cut this entire area out. Easiest way to do that, again, is with your handy-dandy box cutter. So you can see how our CPVC core fits in there perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a little bit of hot glue, put my middle one, which is going to be the one with the hole cut out in it, down. This entire middle area I'm going to glue up, and I'm going to put my core in. And finally, I'm just going to glue the top all over on the foam and the core itself as well. So if you see any gaps, you can add a little bit more hot glue and compress it, but it's not really important because what's really going to be holding this together is going to be the duct tape. The next step, which is totally optional, is to come up and see where our lines aren't quite lining up all the way, and we're going to cut those smooth. For larger things like swords, I've made those as well. You want to use maybe slightly different materials. You want to maybe use PVC for those, but there's a ton of other YouTube videos out there for other people that use those that are probably a lot better and will give you a better idea. This is mostly just for small throwing weapons. Alright, now we're going to begin duct taping. So you can see these little slits here, and I'm just going to pull them over all the way around. The reason I'm doing this is because this reduces the amount of wrinkles you have, and it just makes a more visually appealing throwing weapon. And if you have any areas that are kind of bulging up on you, feel free to just give those a quick snip. And we're going to cover this entire thing in duct tape the entire way around. My favorite is to use silver and then one other color. Reason being is the silver kind of looks like metal, so that kid has got that two-tone look. It's a little bit more visually appealing. This definitely does take some practice, and it's mostly patience. You can also use electrical tape for decoration. I wouldn't use that for the main body just because you want to have something that's very large, but I wouldn't really recommend electrical tape because electrical tape is very good about contracting when it's cold outside. So for example, during the winter, you have a much harder, much more dense throwing weapon than what you'd have in the summer when that electrical tape contracts. And they can actually hurt quite a bit in the wintertime compared to the summertime. So I'm just working in smaller pieces, just enough to cover kind of 1/4 of this at a time. to do my perimeter. There's no reason to do the entire perimeter in one big long piece because the small seam that you'll see, to reduce that is just such a pain to do one large piece of duct tape. And the entire time I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep a little bit of tension on it. The same thing I've been doing, I'm just adding little slits on area that's bulging up, and that way I can get it to lay down a little bit nicer, a little bit crisper. Now you may also notice I'm doing overlapping quite a bit. That's just so that we have duct tape covering the entire thing, and I'd rather have a little bit of overkill with my coverage rather than underdoing it. Might do black for the entire handle, and then I might do some lime green accents. We're gonna be adding a little bit more this time because I'm wanting it to look a little bit smaller of a seam because this is gonna be what the handle is. And remember kids, be safe with tools, and hot glue is hot. And again, there's definitely other ways to do it out there. This is one of the cheaper and easier ways I've found. And you can make some really nice looking things depending on how much patience you have and how much creativity you have as well. And while I'm doing these stripes, I am doing again a little bit of overlap. That just makes it a little bit more durable. All right, there you have it. In the future, I might make it a little bit smaller on the handle. It's a little tough to grip. But again, you can play around with this. I wasn't really measuring anything. I was just kind of eyeballing everything. But it's got really good balance. Feels real good. I imagine it would throw really well. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned because we're going to be showing you how to use the same materials we just used pretty much to make a Nerf pouch. Hey guys, it's Cameron again. This is the throwing knife I made from the earlier tutorial. I signed it because Rob told me to. If anyone wants to buy it, it's going to be up on eBay. The proceeds are going to go towards the Thunderdome Dart Fund.